Hey everyone, Nigerian ExJW speaks here. I think my camera is that way. Let me look that way. Make sure I'm looking in the right place. But hope everyone's doing well. Hope everyone's keeping well. I am here. So obviously the cough from last week stopped. If you don't know what I'm talking about, last week I'll put a link to that. I had to keep skipping the video because I had this tickle in my throat. That meant I had to stop constantly so I wasn't coughing in your ears. And I said that if that didn't stop, you won't see me next week because I've gone into isolation. But fortunately, sort of after that call, once I had something to drink, I was absolutely fine. So yeah, yay. Okay, hope you're all well. This is a super impromptu one. Well, all my videos are not edited, but at least I'm sort of planning in advance. But this is something that has just been coming up over and over again in groups that I'm in, and I just wanted to put my two cents in there, what I think about it. So there have been a lot of posts about people either who have recently left the religion, the Jehovah's Witness religion, or even some that have been out for some time, wondering whether COVID-19 or SARS-CoV-2, whatever it's been called now, is part of the Great Tribulation starting. If you don't know what I mean, you've never had anything to do with the witnesses, I keep saying, freaking lucky you. So the witnesses believe the Great Tribulation is the start of what is essentially going to culminate in the destruction of false religion, which is aka any religion who is not Jehovah's Witnesses, as well as the destruction of the system of things, i.e. anybody who is not a witness, and that whole structure of life as we know it. And they think that it's going to start with some sort of great tribulation where basically everything's just going to start falling apart. At some point, apparently, all of the world is going to turn on them, and they make videos about this in their conventions. It's something that they've talked about for a while, but now as they're getting into videos, so they're actually now dramatizing this so you can see exactly what it looks like. I think they had one of their recent conventions where they had this dramatization of a bunch of witnesses huddled up in the middle of a field, and soldiers with guns coming around them to hurt them. Another one, they had dramatization of important looking world leaders strategizing for their military, and they're surveying the governing body. I laugh about it because it's absolutely ridiculous. Not the concern, but the video. Apparently Samuel Heard, one of the members of the governing body, is on the screen, and apparently that is what the leaders of the world need to keep an eye on, Samuel Heard and what he's getting up to. So it is no wonder if you have just left this religion, or you physically left but mentally stayed in. It is no surprise that you would have fears like this if you have been born into it. And when your mind was young, when you're a child, and this religion hijacked your thinking process and implanted those seeds of very vivid visual memories that real putting in fear of death, fear of destruction in there, and it is no wonder that at this point when stuff happens you get triggered. I think it's Lloyd Evans who runs the John Cedars channel, who talks about all things Jehovah's Witness. I mean, he's been out for a long time, and in my opinion, I think he's quite awake to what they're doing. But he made a video the other day that when he woke up that morning, a few days ago, where we have what's happening with COVID-19, and then they had an earthquake. An earthquake happened in Croatia where they lived, and he woke up in the morning, and just for a few minutes there, the mind still manages to wonder, could this be it? Could they have been right after all? And have I made a mistake by leaving? So the first thing I want to say is, you're not absolutely crazy for having fears, for wondering, but I want to give you some things to think about. I want to put some questions in there for you to weigh up against those fears and just maybe challenge it, because I see this question coming up in groups lots and lots of times. Fortunately, that's not something that I've worried about at this particular time. I know that I have worried about that in the past. I have worried about, what if it's wrong? But I think I have done a video of what life has been like in the 2 years since I woke up. And I think for the most part, I've spent a lot of time, I guess, too angry to fear, if that makes sense, too angry about what the childhood was, to be afraid of what could possibly come. You cannot, I know that fear, you hear that fear and anger go together, but I've been mad at the circumstances. What am I fearing it for? So, I know I've got shadow behind me. I hope you can see me okay. But let's think about this. Let's think about this properly. First of all, I don't know if I haven't made it clear, probably not. I'm not convinced that the Bible is the word of any God. So put that out there. But if for some reason it is, and you've read that book cover to cover, the things that God allegedly has done in there, after reading it without setting out to make excuses for him, without any presuppositions, but just actually reading it for what it is. After that, I could not honestly get behind such a God. And so if he doesn't want me there, absolutely fine. I mean, think about it. What is it the witnesses are actually promising? That in this planet where maybe we're getting close to 8 billion people, that there's 6-7 million of them right now that are going to survive. Actually, no, scratch that, because just counting yourself as a witness apparently is not enough. You have to be sufficiently in, and they made that quite clear with the recent democratization that they did. I know I keep saying that because that's where they're putting everything these days, making videos where, yes, technically you're a witness, you go into the kingdom halls, but if you're not preaching sufficiently, if you're not doing everything that they tell you to do, you just might not make it. That whole working out your salvation with fear and trembling thing comes to mind. You're never really sure. You're never really good enough. So just identifying as a witness might not be enough. So you have this tiny, tiny percentage of people that are apparently going to make it in. Let's look within those people. Let's look at the behavior of what's going on in there. That's some of the things that I've talked about. Let's look at what this organization has been. I'm trying to avoid saying bearing fruit because that is just loaded and triggering. But let's see the sort of things that's coming out of there. Let's look at what effects they're having on the world. Now, I know that the average witness out there generally tries to be a good person. I think that they are just as much victims themselves of this cult. So, but let's look at the policies. Let's look at how they handle things. Let's look at the untold harm and damage they've caused with their shunning, with their shunning policy, their blood policy, the way they handle child sex abuse. Now you turn around and say that that's humans making mistake. If you're claiming though that there's a all-knowing, all-wise, ever good God that is directing, leading, whatever you want to call it, this organization, you would just expect more. You would expect more. Why should I take your interpretation of things seriously? What I mean, and let's look at the facts. I know I keep jumping here, but why should I take your interpretation of things seriously? Let me finish that train of thought first. Why should I take it seriously, knowing the sort of demonstrable harm that you're causing? I don't want anything to do with you. I don't want to spend an eternity with that lot. If I don't want it now, I don't want it then. I most certainly do not want it for an eternity if I don't want it right now. I walked away. Yes, at the time, I wasn't awake then. I was walking away because I felt that I needed to sort myself out. But once I knew what was really going on, I don't want anything to do with it. Why would I want to spend the rest of eternity praising whoever this person is that was going to kill everyone, man, woman, and child, including what about the people who never had a chance to hear about this, or people who heard it and genuinely are not convinced? You know, what happens to them? That's just the tip of the iceberg there. A lot of things that to look at as well, looking at the facts of, is this the first time stuff like this has happened? You know, you would have heard being thrown around the Spanish flu. Every generation thinks that they have it really bad. Every generation, you know, if you look back in time, people have been predicting the end of the world for centuries. You know, everyone thinks, right, this is it. Even within the Bible itself, there are people in there who wrote as if thinking the world was going to end in their time. You know, it's not the first time stuff like this has happened. It won't be the last time, unfortunately. It's just what happens. It's life. It's part of being life. It doesn't mean that some cult run by 8 men in New York who are demonstrably causing harm with their policies every day, it doesn't mean that they can see into the future. It doesn't mean that they're absolutely right. But I get it. I get why that fear might be there. But I would suggest you take some time to really think about this. Think about what that would mean. Think about the kind of God character that might be behind this. If you're someone that is still a Christian, that still believes, you know, that's absolutely fine. But I don't know how you would then relate that to a fear of whether the God of the Witnesses is starting what they believe to be the Great Tribulation. I don't know how you would marry the two. If you're someone that, like myself, who don't believe anymore and completely come off that, you know, do you want to leave? Do you want to live for eternity? I can't speak, with a God who would do stuff like this. I mean, who does permanent punishment for something that is temporary? You know, because I wasn't convinced that you exist, or because the people that were claiming to be from you, if you exist, were causing demonstrable harm, that I had to get away. For very good reasons. And you're gonna condemn people to death for that? You know, maybe I don't want anything to do with you, because if this is who you've chosen to use, then I'm sorry, I'm not convinced and I cannot get behind it and I had to leave it. And if that's the only way that you want it done, well, I'm afraid you're just going to have to enjoy it yourself. I'm fine. Thank you very much. So I don't know if that's going to help. I don't know if that helps at all. But just some things for you to think about there. I know that a lot of people have had family members reaching out to them, whether that's of their own accord or whether that's off the nudge of the governing body, whether that's, trying to find new ways to witness so there's time to report or there's genuine care. I know that my dad has reached out to me. I think it was genuine, but that's probably just me. He has reached out, and we have an understanding. Kind of at this point, it took a long time to get to. We're not going to talk about that, which yes does mean that the conversation is limited, but I didn't feel like he was trying to preach to me or anything like that. So I know that that's not going to be the case for everyone. And if your family is reaching out, trying to tug at those heartstrings, remember why you left and whether you want to go back to that. Yeah, if you choose to go back, I mean, it's your decision, but think about, is that where are you acting from? First of all, are you acting based on evidence or are you acting out of fear? Why did you leave in the first place? Are you convinced? Are you really willing to put yourself through all of that for a situation that most certainly isn't unique? I mean, as bad as this is, worse plagues, whatever you want to call it, have happened where more people have died and the world didn't end. I don't think it's going to end now. So just something for you to think about. Different background today, and hope you can see me all right. Good to talk to you guys again. Continue staying safe. In the UK, as at today, is now officially on lockdown. I'm recording this a bit earlier than I normally would because I just had to get it off my chest. I just had to talk about it. So yeah, stay safe, everyone. Don't get yourself a fine, and more importantly, don't get yourself poorly. And I will speak to you on the next one. Take care, everyone. Bye.